Alright class, in this video we're going to go through the handout for section 9.2 metric volume. Okay, so we're going to look at the metric system of volume in a little bit deeper way than we have in the past. So the handout begins with a question about where does the liter come from. Okay, so this is something that we did in the very first part of class, the discovery of the setup of a liter. Okay, if we recall that a meter was the basic unit of length, and we will take this length, and they wanted to cube it to fit in some liquid in the container, but the meter was too big, and so they chose the decimeter. Okay, and so the decimeter cubed, they cubed that, and it's a nice size container. Okay, and so then they said, okay, whatever amount of liquid fills this container, we're going to call a liter. Okay, so it's the amount of liquid in a decimeter cubed. Okay. Alright, so in this first part, we're going to do an analysis. Okay, we're going to start with the medium size units in the metric system. So we're going to do, and we're going to establish that it's like the decimeter, right? So as we investigate the decimeter, we're going to go to decimeter squared. Okay, we're going to square the units. Okay. For area, measuring area with decimeters squared. Then we measure volume with decimeters cubed. Okay, so in a medium size unit, you can use decimeters cubed. And we're going to then say that, okay, that's equal to capacity. 1 decimeter cubed is equal to 1 liter. Okay. And 1 liter of water weighs a kilogram. Okay. Okay, so we have filled out all of these medium type units, okay? Because we can go smaller on this, okay? The unit that is 10 times smaller than a decimeter is the centimeter, okay? So let's go ahead and analyze area, volume, and capacity and weight with the centimeter as the smaller unit, okay? So when we do area, we're going to do 1 centimeter squared. And we're going to do the volume. Okay, we're going to do another dimension that way. 1 centimeter cubed. And we know that 1 centimeter cubed is equal to a capacity. Well, how much capacity? So let's take a look at the relationship between decimeters to centimeters again. Okay, decimeters to centimeters was 10 times smaller. Okay, so you have 10 times smaller unit there. What about the relationship between decimeters squared and centimeters squared? Well, each of them is being squared, right? And so it's not just 10 times smaller, but it's going to be 100 times smaller. Okay, that's the relationship between those two. And if we multiply each of those dimensions by 10 as well to get from centimeters squared to centimeters cubed, take it to another dimension, the relationship is that 1 centimeter cubed is 1,000 times smaller than a decimeter cubed, okay? So we're increasing each of these by a dimension, so centimeters to centimeters squared to centimeters cubed, okay? Multiplying by a centimeter. So if the centimeter is 10 times smaller than the decimeter, then the decimeter squared is going to be 100 times smaller, or 100 times bigger, or the centimeter squared is going to be 100 times smaller than the decimeter squared. and the centimeter cubed is going to be 1,000 times smaller than a decimeter cubed. Well, since a decimeter cubed is equal to a liter, a centimeter cubed must be equal to, well, something that is 1,000 times smaller than a liter. Okay, and that would be 1 milliliter. Okay, so by the setup and the establishment that French scientists had done, is that they found that the centimeter cubed must be equal to a milliliter. Okay, these must be equal, since these are equal. Okay. So that's another neat relationship there. And the weight for this, so how much does 1 milliliter of water weigh? Well, we take our kilogram and we divide that by 1,000 as well. Okay, so 1 kilogram divided by 1,000 is going to be 1 gram. Okay, so we have that a centimeter, and a new relationship here for this section is that a centimeter cubed is equal to a milliliter of water weighs 1 gram. Okay. Now we're going to go the other way, and we're going to say, okay, well, in the medium unit we had 1 decimeter. Let's go this way here, and we're going to see what's 10 times bigger than 1 decimeter, and we get our meter. Okay, that's for length. So area is 1 meter squared. Okay, and for volume is going to be 1 meter cubed. Now we had said before that 1 meter cubed is actually quite a large amount. Well, if 1 meter squared is 100 times larger than 1 decimeter squared, okay, so we're going to label that. And then 1 decimeter cubed, 1 meter cubed is going to be 1,000 times larger than a decimeter cubed, because we're adding on that other dimension. Okay. So what is 1,000 times larger than a liter? Okay. Well, one might say, well, it's got to be a kiloliter, right? Because kilo is 1,000. Well, it turns out that they don't use kiloliters these days. They just keep it with liters. And so 1,000 times larger than a liter is just going to be 1,000 liters. Okay, so that's what we would use today in the metric system. Now, if you take 1,000 liters of water, okay, and we say, well, that's got to be, how much does that weigh? Okay, well, we have our kilogram, and it's got to be 1,000 times larger than a kilogram. So 1,000 times a kilo in the metric system is a mega. So one might be tempted to call it a megagram. Well, we don't call it that in the metric system. We call it 1,000, we just leave it as 1,000 grams, or we call it a metric ton. Okay, and so that's what 1,000 times a kilo is, 1 metric ton. All right, so there's that part of our handout. Okay, in the next video here, we're going to talk about conversions. Now that we looked at the relationships of the metric system in a deep way, we're going to convert among these various centimeters cubed and decimeters cubed and liters and kilograms in different types of volume here. The key relationship that we will get to eventually is converting from liters to centimeters cubed. Okay, and that we can go from liters down to milliliters, and then over to centimeters cubed, or we can do liters over to decimeters cubed, and then up to centimeters cubed. Okay. So if we go this way from liters to milliliters, we divide by 1,000, or sorry, multiply by 1,000, and then we set that equal. So we set that equal to the centimeters cubed equal. If we go from liters to through decimeters to centimeters cubed, we go from liters to decimeters cubed. That's the equal relationship, and then up to centimeters cubed by multiplying by 1,000. If you have to go the other way from centimeters cubed to liters, we go this way and we divide by 1,000, and then we set that equal to. No, we go. That's equal. Sorry. And then we go down here to divide by 1,000. And then if we're going this way, we divide by 1,000 first. And then we go over to our liters, which is equal relationship. Okay. So we'll practice that down here. So 3.82 liters is equal to a certain number of milliliters. Okay. So we're going from liters to milliliters, and I use conversion factors. So we'll go ahead and do that here. So 3.82 liters and over 1 times how many milliliters are in a liter? Well, there's 1,000, right? Liters cancel, so we'll put liters at the bottom. Okay, so we'll multiply that by 1,000 milliliters over a liter. Those will cancel. And we have 3.82 times 1,000. Okay, and that's going to be equal to some amount of milliliters. So when we move this 3 places to the right, we get the answer to be 3,820 milliliters. Okay. 3,820 milliliters. Now we're going to go the other way in this conversion for part B. We're going to start with 1,300 milliliters, put over 1, multiply by 1,000 milliliters for 1 liter. The milliliters will cancel, and we have 1,300 divided by 1,000, and our liters are left over. So when we divide by 1,000, we'll take this decimal here and move it to the right, to the left 3 places. So we get 1.3 liters. Okay, so we'll box that one. All right, so this is this next one is a problem from the first section. Okay. 1 cup is how many teaspoons? Okay. So we're going to take our 1 cup and put over 1, multiply by conversion factor. And if you look at the previous handout, we know that the cups equal 8 fluid ounces. 1 cup equals 8 fluid ounces, and each fluid ounce is equal to 2 tablespoons. Okay, so we'll use those conversion factors. We'll do 2 conversion factors. So 1 cup for 8 fluid ounces. We'll convert from cups to ounces, then ounces to tablespoons. Oh, actually, we'll do 3 conversion factors, and then tablespoons to teaspoons. Okay, so there's 1 cup, 8 fluid ounces, and then we multiply that together. The cups will cancel. 3 conversion factors are great because I can just string them all together. Now we have 1 fluid ounce is 2 tablespoons. Okay, so we need our fluid ounces to cancel. 1 fluid ounce, 2 tablespoons. Okay, those fluid ounces will cancel, and we'll add on the 3rd conversion factor, which is 1 tablespoon equals 3 teaspoons. Okay, so 1 tablespoon, 3 teaspoons. Okay, our tablespoons will cancel. So we multiply all the numerators and all the denominators. So in the numerators, I have 8 times 2 times 3. The denominators are just 1, and we have TSP left, teaspoons. And so we have 16 times 3 teaspoons. Which is 48 teaspoons. in 1 cup. Okay, so in this one, number D, we're going to split 37 cups into as many gallons as we can, and as many quarts as we can, and as many pints as we can, and as many cups as we can. Okay, so if I have 37 cups, and I'm going to convert them to pints, so 37 cups. Oops. Over 1, multiplied by how many pints are in a cup? Well, there's how many cups are in a pint? So there's 2 cups for 1 pint. Okay, and we get when we multiply that together, the cups will simplify, and we take 37 divided by 2 pints. When we do that, we get take our 37 divided by 2. We get 18 and a half pints, which is the same thing as 18 pints and 1 cup. Okay, so we'll put our 1 cup here, 18 pints. Now that could probably be combined more, so we can take our 18 pints and put it into quarts. And so for every pint, there's 2 pints for 1 quart. Let's simplify there, and we have 9 quarts. Okay. Now we want to take these quarts and convert them to gallons. So there's 4 quarts in a gallon. So we're going to do our 9 quarts over 1 times 4 quarts for every gallon. And then we have 9 over 4 gallons. Those will cancel there, which is the same as 2, and 2 gallons will make 4 quarts, and so there's 1 more quart left over, so 1/4 gallons, which is the same as 2 gallons and 1 quart. Okay, so we're gonna put that in our thing here. So there's no pints left over, but there's 1 quart left over, and there's 2 gallons. Okay, and so that's the answer to this one here. All right, so 32 liters is equal to some number of centimeters cubed. So here's the first conversion that we're going to have to do, where we will use our liters to milliliters, then over to centimeters cubed. So I'm going to go ahead and do that route, but you can go from liters to decimeters cubed to centimeters cubed as well. How about if I do that, both of them? Okay, so weigh 1. See which one you like better. So weigh 1, I'm going to take 32 liters, put over 1, multiply it by 1 liter for every 1,000 milliliters. Okay, so the liters will simplify, cancel there, and we get 32,000 milliliters. And then we just set the milliliters equal to centimeters cubed, and so it's going to equal 32,000 centimeters cubed. Okay, so there's that one. Now way number 2 takes our 32 liters. Let me put that down there more. Put over 1, multiply it by, well, this actually they're going to be the same as the decimeters cubed. So 32 liters is 32 decimeters cubed. Okay, and then I'm going to multiply that by 1,000 centimeters cubed for 1 decimeter cubed. So we'll cancel those, and then our answer will have 32,000 centimeters cubed. Okay, so that's a couple ways of getting that answer. Now I'm going to go back the other way, and I'm just going to choose one of those ways for this problem. So we're going to do 5.06 centimeters cubed, put over 1, multiply it by, let's change those to milliliters. So that means we can just go like this, set them equal to milliliters. 5.06 milliliters. And then we're going to multiply that by 1,000 milliliters for every liter. Okay, and so we're doing 5.06 divided by 1,000. Moving the decimal to the left 3 places, I get 0.00506 liters. Because our milliliters cancel here, we get liters. Okay, and then the last one for this video, and on this side of the handout, we're going to convert 0.35 kilograms to grams. Okay, so I have kilograms to grams, and I'm going to multiply, put that over 1, and I'm going to multiply by, there's 1 kilogram has 1,000 grams. And when the kilograms will cancel, I get 0.35 times 1,000, okay, which I'll move the decimal over to the right 3 places, and I get 350 grams. That's that answer. Okay, so that's it for this video. Okay, in this video, we're going to continue on our conversions. So we have several more conversions to do here, just to kind of get an idea of how these things are working. We're going to give 30.35 kilograms of water, and we'll convert that to liters. So remember that the kilogram weight of water is equal to a certain number of liters. And that number is going to be the same as the number of kilograms of water. So that means that 0.35 kilograms of water is the same as 0.35 liters. And then I'm going to change that to milliliters, so let me use a conversion factor. 0.35 liters over 1 times 1 liter for every 1,000 milliliters. And that's going to equal, the liters cancel, 0.35 times 1,000. And that's going to be moving the decimal over to the right 3 places, and you get 350 milliliters. So that's 350. Alright, so we have those ones there. 15 yards equals a certain number of feet. Okay, so 15 yards over 1 times, there's 3 feet in a yard, so we'll put 1 yard for every 3 feet. And that's going to equal, yards canceling, 15 times 3, which is 45. 45 feet. Next, we're going to do square units. Okay. Now remember that square units, I'm going to use 2 conversion factors. Okay, so 15 yards squared over 1 multiplied by, well, there's 3 feet in yards, but I'm not sure how many feet squared are in yards squared, so I'm just going to do 3 feet for the 1 yard again. But I need yards to cancel. There's only one set here, so I need another 3 feet for 1 yard conversion. Okay, now I can cancel those, and I have 15 times 3 times 3 feet times feet, which is feet squared. And 15 times 3 is 45, which we found out before. And our 45 times 3 is going to equal 135. Okay, so we have 135 feet squared in 15 yards squared. Okay, now I'm going to do cubed. 15 yards cubed over 1 multiplied by, well, 3 feet for a yard again. But I need to do another conversion factor and another conversion factor, because I have 3 sets of yards that I need to simplify on the denominators with the 3 sets of yards in the numerator. And we do 15 times 3 times 3. Well, it's 135 times 3, which is 2025. Feet cubed, because there's feet here and here and here. Okay. So that's that one. Notice that there's a big difference between the yards cubed and feet cubed. Meters to centimeters. Okay, so we have 15 meters over 1 multiply by my conversion factor to get the centimeters. Well, we know that there's, for every 1 meter, there's 100 centimeters. So that's going to equal, the meters will simplify. Now 15 times 100 centimeters, which gives me 1,500 centimeters. Now I'm going to make these square units, converting between square units. 15 meters squared over 1 times, well, I don't remember the square units for meter squared and centimeter squared, so I'm going to use two conversion factors, which are 1 meter for every 100 centimeters. 1 meter for every 100 centimeters. Okay, and when we multiply those, we cancel these here, and we get 15 times 100 times 100. That's equal to 15 times 10,000. So we have that we're going to move the decimal over 4 places. 15, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 150,000 centimeters squared. Okay. So it's quite a bit of centimeters squared for every meter squared. Now we're going to go cubic units for volume. So we have 15 meters cubed over 1 times. I'm going to do a string of 3 conversion factors because we need to get 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter for every 100 centimeters. Okay, all those meters will cancel at the bottom. And we multiply all the 100 centimeters together. So I have 15 times 100 times 100 times 100, which is equal to 15 times a million. Okay, which is equal to 15 million centimeters cubed. Okay. All right, so on this next one, we're going to go from centimeters cubed to liters again. Okay, just more practice on that because it's a very important conversion. So centimeters cubed to liters. We'll use it in our final problem here. So centimeters cubed to liters, I'm going to go with, I want to set them equal to milliliters. So let me just back up a bit here. That's equal to 52.5 milliliters. And multiply that by the conversion factor of 1,000 milliliters for every 1 liter. Okay, so essentially I'm going to divide 52.5 by 1,000. So I move my decimal over 3 places to the left. And I get 0.0525 liters. In the next problem, I'm going to convert 6750 centimeters cubed to liters. Let me do it the other way. Another way here. So I'm going to convert 6750 centimeters cubed. I'll put it over 1. Multiply by, well, there's 1,000 centimeters cubed for every 1 decimeter cubed. And so we'll cancel our centimeters cubed, and we have 6750 divided by 1,000 decimeters cubed. So we move the decimal 3 places to the left for division. That's equal to 6.75 decimeters cubed. Okay, which is the same thing as a liter. 6.75 liters. Okay, so that's the answer to that one. All right. So if I have 3.5 million centimeters cubed to decimeters cubed, so I'm going to put that centimeters cubed over 1, multiplied by some number of decimeters for centimeters. Well, there's 1,000 centimeters cubed for 1 decimeter cubed. Okay, so I'm going to cancel those, and I'm going to divide that 3.5 million divided by 1,000. So we'll move the decimal over 3 places, and I get 3,500 decimeters cubed. Okay, so there's 1 there. I'll just box it. Now we know that that's equal to the same amount of liters. so 3,500 liters. And we know that if we take that much water, that will equal 3,500 kilograms of water. Okay. So we have that one. Okay, in this video, we're going to do another tank example where we can use the amount of water in liters and relate that to the tank size. So if we have a certain amount of tank size, we can multiply the centimeters together and then get some amount of liters as well. So here's what I mean. We have 40 liters of water poured into a container with a base length of 40 centimeters and a base width of 50 centimeters. What is the height of the water in the container? So a good thing to do to start these word problems is to draw a picture. So I'm going to draw a picture of a tank of water. Okay. And make some adjustments here. Okay. We have our tank of water. We are given in our problem that the length of the base is 40 centimeters, and the width is 50 centimeters. The height we do not know of the water. Okay, so the water will be filled up at some certain point here, and here's the height. We do not know what it is. But we do know that 40 liters was poured in. Okay. And since these units are centimeters, we can get the 40 liters and convert it to centimeters cubed. Okay. So 40 liters is equal to 40 decimeters cubed. Okay. And then multiply that by 1 decimeter cubed for every 1,000 centimeters cubed. Okay. And when I do that, I get 40,000 centimeters cubed. Now that's the volume. Okay, so the volume is equal to that. So we also know that the volume is equal to length times width times height. So our 40,000 centimeters cubed is equal to the length times the width, which is 40 centimeters, times 50 centimeters, times the height, h. Okay, so 40,000 centimeters cubed is equal to 40 times 50, well 4 times 5 is 20, and put the 2 zeros after that, 2,000 centimeters squared times height. Okay, so we divide both sides by 2,000 centimeters squared. And the centimeters, 2,000 centimeters squared will cancel here, so we have h is equal to whatever 40,000 divided by 2 is, and we get, sorry, 40,000 divided by 20,000, and we get a height of 20 centimeters. Okay, so our height is now equal to 20 centimeters. So that's where we can use the decimeters cubed and liters and centimeters cubed together to help us find these dimensions.